Well, Tim Walz finally held a press conference to address the massive fraud scandals rocking Minnesota. And if you were expecting accountability, you came to the wrong place. His press conference.
In this state and accepting responsibility and fixing problems, Minnesota is a great place to live. We rank at the very top of most states in quality of life. Affordability, we were recently named the 8th safest state in terms of crime. We were rated 2nd most retirement-friendly state, which is simply amazing since Florida was 1, and we are still 2nd on a day like today.
Hold on a minute, Mr. Governor. You left out one of Minnesota's accolades. The Minnesota Feeding Our Future scandal fraud scheme is ranked as the single largest pandemic aid fraud case identified in the public records across the United States.
And job opportunities. We understand the strength and prosperity of this state depends on the ability of every single Minnesotan to thrive. We are a state that chooses not to let people go hungry or homeless or uneducated. However, that generosity has been taken advantage of by an organized group of fraudsters and criminals. Minnesota's longstanding high standards of integrity of public funds go hand in hand with a culture of generosity. You can't have one without the other. Any amount of fraud is too much. That's why over the last several years,
he said he was taking action over the last several years. Man.
We've made many systematic changes to state government to both detect fraud and hold those accountable after it happened.
The loot has already gone out the door. We are talking about 250 million and could be 8 billion. And what is the governor doing? He's setting up task force. The 250 million was meant to feed hungry children, and it was stolen. Governor, that is the definition of too little, too late. You don't install a security system after the bank has been robbed, and the vault is empty. The money is gone. The damage is done. But anyway, let's hear more of what the governor has to say.
More ownership and oversight from within the Somali.
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed. I think for the community to maybe educate their population, because I think what you're seeing here is there's secondary victims in this, that there's providers inside the community that are then victimizing the community themselves by signing them up, because when we're going to some of these people, they're like, I had no idea I was in this program.
As usual with the governor, most people don't understand what the hell he's saying, but at least we know that he believes everything that the Somalis told him. When he said that the Somalians were second-hand victim in these crimes, how did they get their names, Mr. Governor? To enroll them in the programs. But one thing I'm trying to understand is the governor trying to say that when white men commit crimes, they are not being charged. It's only Somalis are charged with crimes. Who knows what to understand when the governor speak?
So I think it's asking us then, for every crime, which of course the majority being committed by white men, asking us to do more about that. I think it's crime in general. And I think the biggest thing on this is just making sure that we're educating the population. And again, this is 80 people or so that have been convicted in this, maybe some more in that, out of a broader ring. Medicaid fraud will stretch across all racial demographics, all ethnic groups. So I think it's really important for us to know.
Man, the governor is at it. He says only 80 Somalis commit this crime, but 80 Somalis are responsible or allegedly for $1 billion. Imagine if it was 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 Somalis who were alleged in this scheme. America would be broke by now. They would take all the money from the United States.
Schools and in our society. But no, I think this idea that the Somali community is to blame for this because they didn't do more, I think that's how we got into this. And that's, again, I know we're not going to lose the whole plot here. All this work that's being done, Donald Trump brought this to the attention like this is something brand new. This is not brand new, and it's been being worked on, but he made it white hot and very dangerous. Yeah.
He spent his time attacking Donald Trump. Why? Because Trump dared to point out that there is a specific problem within the Somali community in Minnesota regarding this fraud. Walz says Trump is demonizing a community. Let's be clear, Trump didn't write the fraudulent check. Trump didn't set up the fake nonprofits. Trump just read the headlines that you created. Governor, blaming the guy who points out the fire doesn't put the fire out. Then Walz tried to pull the oldest trick in the political playbook. He said, every state has fraud. He tried to claim that even ethnic group commits fraud, so there is nothing special to see here.
That have been convicted in this, maybe some more in that, out of a broader ring. Medicaid fraud will stretch across all racial demographics, all ethnic groups. So I think it's really important for us to note each community's got this in their own midst, but to blame them and say that they should have been responsible for stopping it, I think that's a pretty hard reach. I think we continue to educate folks about why they shouldn't commit crimes. You would hope that it's being taught both at home and at schools and in our society.
This is an alarming normalizing of crime. Imagine a bank manager saying, well, banks get robbed in every state, so it is okay if my bank get robbed. No, it is not okay. Minnesota is unique because the scale of this theft and who was involved. Stop trying to pretend like this is business as usual. And maybe the reason the governor is so defensive is that he needs to check his photo album. It is being reported that some of the very people allegedly involved in the massive fraud, allegedly scheme, have rubbed elbow with the governor. They have had dinner with him. They have taken pictures with him. It is hard to crack down on crime when the alleged criminals are the ones smiling next to you at the fundraiser. Governor, you need to look at who you have been breaking bread with.
Abdul Dahir Ibrahim entered the U.S. in 1995 after being deported from Canada, where he was charged with welfare and asylum fraud. He had been living in Minnesota despite an order by an immigration judge for his removal back in 2004 because of his extensive history of fraud charges. He was finally arrested by ICE agents last week. DHS did post these pictures online of Ibrahim with multiple Democrats they say have allowed him to keep living in the U.S. under sanctuary policies, including
Walz. The man pictured is Abdul Dahir Ibrahim. He entered the country in 2000 and has had an order for removal since 2004. He also has a prior conviction in Canada for asylum and welfare fraud. ICE tells Fox News Ibrahim was granted temporary protected status for 10 years, but should have never been eligible. We are going to have more on this.
Before you lecture us about demonizing anyone, finally, Walz stood up there and promised us justice. He said anyone who committed fraud in Minnesota will go to jail. Really? Because that's not what we are seeing.
The fraudulent group feeding our future, they threatened a lawsuit. They said, well, we're going to accuse you of racism, and it will be scrawled across the news. And so they backed off.
The jury saw it as fraud and convicted Yusuf of 6 counts of theft by swindle. Then 3 months after the verdict, Judge West made the rare move of tossing out the full verdict as well. Court records show other Hennepin County judges tossing related cases before they reached trial. Judge Amber Brennan dismissed the charges against Yusuf's wife.
Governor, are you aware that we have judges in your state overturning jury verdicts? We have seen cases where a jury of peers listen to the evidence, finds the defendants guilty, and then a judge steps in and drops the charges or acquits them away. Walz is trying to close the barn door after the horse and the $250 million has already bolted. He's blaming Trump. Let's make excuses. He is making excuses. He is ignoring the reality of his own courts. This is the Minto Report. Don't let them gaslight you.